I just got this one, the Great Dinosaur Rush, and I've been dying to have it hit the table because I love everything dinosaurs. And this actually hits one of the big things for me, which is very important. It's a small thing, but I think we brought it up with Kickstarter a while back, the Einstein Kickstarter, in which there's the game mechanic, which is fun to play, but there's also a lot of tidbits of information. This is referring a lot to what's known as the Great Dinosaur Rush. It was this big era when all the bones were found, lots of paleontologists fighting to be who's the best, literally. And that's what you actually get to do. You each get to become a famous paleontologist, and you actually try to find different kinds of bones, and you try to, because you don't know what the dinosaur forms, and you make all these weird skeletons.
Yeah, and you're literally, you are constructing them out of what kind of looks like road pieces from Catan of different colors, and you need certain ones represent different parts
the ribs,
of the body.
the neck, the head, or maybe special horns and stuff.
And of course you have these little guides which give you more points if you manage to match them. So, by the time the third round comes in the game, you're building these pretty ridiculous looking dinosaur bone structures.
And of course there's ways to take advantage and maybe do some more nefarious deeds, but this gets you notoriety. Now, at the end of the game, whoever has the most notoriety actually loses that much, but everyone else gains the much, which actually was very important in our game. That actually gave you the win.
Yes, it was.
Which is really cool.
It was the deciding factor, because it was a pretty close game between us.
Yeah, and I want to know your opinion, because I'm going to admit I'm probably a little biased because it's dinosaurs and it's mine, but what was your thoughts like?
Yeah, I thought it was really, really fun. I mean, I think it's a good mix of simplicity with enough choices to make, but I really think that the dinosaur bone section where you're building is what gives the game its flavor, that makes it really feel fun and unique. And it did something that I can't think of. I feel like there's an example from recently that I can't think of where maybe like Cthulhu's Vault, where remember, they had the story mode and the boss mode at the end. They were very distinct. This game I felt was a really good example of having two very distinct modes that still felt married to each other in a seamless way.
Because in this really there was the resource gathering mode and like almost a prep mode, the build mode, which is just you building, that's not much.
Which is almost like a, not dexterity game, but it feels like more of a party abstract.
Because it didn't matter, it's more like what you had, really, and you're just making something cool because you can.
Right.
And then there's the actual showing phase, and that's when you get to show like, oh, well, I have the Triceratops head, so I get extra points. And then because of during the prep phase, you actually can, I think, publicize, so to get people excited about whether you're looking for a bigger dinosaur, longer dinosaur, more ferocious, so on and so forth. You can really sort of push and pull on what your opponents are doing. And that was a lot of fun, and we still were laughing at making these, like because of the weird cards I have, you can get special cards that say you build a Triceratops head, like I said before. You can make these crazy dinosaurs. I mean, I had one that was like, it had like the body of an apatosaurus technically, and the wings of it from a pterodactyl species, and the head of this other dinosaur is just like, that shouldn't exist. It was just like so funny to see why people built things.
Yeah, every time the boards were lifted up, you're like, whoa, that's some interesting stuff. I think our only real complaint was just kind of a bummer that we did go through all of those cards on our first game.
Yeah, that was actually my only big problem with this game. Like, I would give it an extra point on the Board Game Geek rating for this alone, just to have so much more of those.
Yeah.
And we were playing with 3 people. So, and I guess it makes sense because if you're playing with 5 people, then you focus more on maybe moving the prestige, publicizing I told about. But those cards are almost some of the fun of being like, I'm not just building a dinosaur, I'm building it so it has this kind of head, or you got stuck with 2 weird heads. I
was trying to do 2 heads together.
It was a really good. It was really close, honestly. Like really,
it was like a fudge. But and I will say, I think we didn't quite, or at least I didn't tap into some possible strategies because, like you said, there's those notoriety moves, and for the most part, we avoided them.
Yeah, I do feel like if you played with more people, that would come up. Because also, since we were playing with 3, also the field was very rich for us, I would say.
Yeah,
there wasn't nearly as much. I think each of us maybe went on an empty space once or so. But if you play with more people, then you would be more stealing using TNT, which, yes, they actually did that back then to find fossils.
And the game is pretty quick, even though, of course, we take forever doing everything. The actual steps of what you do on your turn, once you're used to the turn sequence, goes at a pretty good pace. So I feel like it is a nice, light game that you could play with. It's a less heavy game.
There actually is. We didn't play the Odyssey.
Oh, right.
There's a simpler family mode that takes a lot of the rules and boils and pretty much makes them much more basic for that kind of situation if you need it. However, I think the rules that they have there are still a lot of fun. Plenty balance of simplicity while having choice. And I would love to play this game again.
So the Great Dinosaur Rush lives up to its adjective. Indeed, great. From Ape Games. If you check our Twitter, you can see a picture of some of our. Maybe I'll include some of our dinosaurs that we did in this episode.
There were some amazing ones, especially that third round. Oh my God.